Kia ora, friend.
Hey, hello everyone.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Apparently, I had an echo going on. So, welcome back to the Brickanista Broadcast Network and PT. My gosh, this is the last
finale
review for season 2.
Yep.
I know it's kind of sad. It's like we were having such a good time every week, talking about New Zealand. I'm wearing my New Zealand shirt today.
So all good things must come to an end.
Blacks. Yeah, we're playing, I think, the Australia tonight. And I get to live vicariously through my friends in New Zealand. And I'm really, really thankful that we've had a chance to review Lego Masters New Zealand Season 1 last year. Yeah. And then being able to do Season 2 this year has been loads of fun. But how was you recently went to a convention?
No, it was Brickfest Live
okay.
out in Pasadena. And so that's where, we set up our Tylug, Lagola, Long Beach were there. Mm-hmm. And we had a big setup. I don't know, probably 26 of us were there displaying along with everyone else. And so, no, it was good. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people. I mean, hordes and hordes of people going through there.
Wow.
But it was good and exciting. And of course, they were, advertising the show, and so one last time.
One last time here.
This was there at Brickfest Live, our little Lego Master NZ.
Yeah.
And, so
you did such a good job on that.
Did a little advertising for the show, so that was good. Get a
and
bigger
now you have
audience.
Your own power brick to use when needed.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm really thinking that the next big convention that I was planning to go to would be BrickCon, but I just decided I'm saving my money to go to Disneyland. And I'll see you.
There's a Lego store there. There's a Lego store there too. So,
For those of you who are new to the Brickanista Broadcast Network, I'm Naomi, the Brickanista. I'm based in Vancouver, Washington, not Vancouver, British Columbia. And we've been doing Lego Master not only New Zealand, but also the US since season 2. And we're really excited because after this show, we're going to be segueing into the next season, season 4, which is going to start broadcasting in September. And PT is based in
Southern California.
Yeah. So we're Pacific time zone people. And part of the reason why we're broadcasting on Fridays is because we have our special guests who are here from New Zealand who have been on the show. We've had so much fun watching them build. And please help me welcome first to the stream, Oli Mollard.
Hey,
how's it going, Oli? Kia ora. And of course, we have Charlie too.
Hey.
Charlie Mollard too. Wow. So it's been so much fun watching you on the show, and you look like you just had such a fun time doing the builds, and just also little shenanigans, I would say, a couple times too on some of the episodes. So tell us a little bit about whose idea was it to apply for the show? Which one of you decided this is what I really want to do, and I'm going to bring you along with me? Or did you both come to the decision together?
It sort of started with me. I was the main person who watched the Lego Masters Australia. However, we both knew that was what we wanted to do. And at the time, Ollie was basically just waiting till I was old enough, because at the time of filming, I was 18, which was basically the minimum age that you could be on there. Mm-hmm. And so for a few years, we wanted to do it, and it was just literally a dream come true.
Yes. Wow. That sounds very similar to some of the contestants in the US too, where Liam from the Liam and Emily team from season 3, he had applied 2 years prior for season 1, and he was 16 at the time. They pretty much said, you're going to have to wait. So you were proactive about it. You decided, okay, I know the minimum's 18, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And then when you decided, you have this motorcycle that you built, and that was part of, I guess, your interview, right? You showed them this motorcycle. So how old were you when you built the motorcycle that you drove around the high school?
I think that was when I was 17. It was in my final year of high school. I did it at home because I thought, why not just some random fun challenge to do? And then one day, instead of showing up to class, I just grabbed two of my friends and we decided to just have a bit of fun riding that around school.
So the instructors were going, where's Charlie and his two classmates? What's that noise outside that's happening?
I was in my robotics class and the teacher there quite liked me, so they were kind of okay with it, but the other teachers were a wee bit confused by what we were doing. And we did a few teachers who weren't happy with us distracting classes by riding around in their areas.
And I think, too, that, Oli, your background is creative arts. Is that right? Or graphic design?
Yes. Yeah, I studied visual communication design at university. And Charlie's doing mechatronics. So it kind of reflects in our Lego building both of our passions.
Yeah, it was so much fun watching the two of you. And I have to ask too, we were talking a little bit about the secret handshake that you were doing on stream or during the broadcast. Have you always had that secret handshake, or was that something that, you do whenever you celebrate, or how did that come about?
It's not been always, but we've had it for a couple of years, I think.
I think we came up with it for our application just to show off how cool we were.
Oh, nice.
That's just how long ago it was.
Let's take some notes here. So if you're interviewing, come up with a secret handshake. And, well, you both are very cool. Lots of fun. And I think, too, just the camera loves both of you. It's always funny how, and I think you know how to play to the camera as well. And you would talk to the camera and like kids, study in school, study math. It's important. And Brick Jedi's here. Hey, Brick Jedi, welcome to the stream. Good to see you.
Brick Jedi.
Yes, Kia ora. Yeah, we have a couple of regulars who will pop into the stream, and it's always fun too that we get a chance to ask you questions, and sometimes the chat will ask you questions as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So where did you start playing with Lego? Where did that come from? And how old were you? And what were some of those first sets?
We basically did Lego our whole lives. We started off with Duplo like most people do, but it always began with that classic box of random bricks that our parents had, because they were minor fans of Lego, but we really took over from there. Every Christmas and birthday, that's what we would ask for, is just more and more Lego, until eventually we managed to get a Lego room. And
nice.
Probably make it all one Lego house, but the parents aren't too happy with that.
Do you have other siblings in your family too who are into Lego?
We have a younger sister, but she doesn't really, not too fussed about Lego. She loves like the Moana sets because she loves Moana. But that's
yeah. And it must have been fun for her to watch the two of you on the television. Now, have you found that since being on television, that has it changed your perspective about, first of all, the process, because you were filmed, and from what I understand from some of the interviews from the other contestants, that you had a very rigorous schedule and it was really hard. And I'm just curious about, now that you've gone through the process, how do you feel about that? And would that be something you might do again?
If we got the opportunity to, I don't know about Oli, but I'd definitely be very keen to go back. And I guess the biggest thing that sort of surprised both of us was just how real it was. Like, being reality TV, we kind of expected there to be a lot more things off camera that you didn't see in the show, which, I mean, there was, but we were actually building for quite long periods of time. And when someone got eliminated off the show, they'd be flown back home pretty much the next day. So it would be quite sad because we wouldn't get to see them until a future Brick show.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's true. Wow. And I think too that when you're under that much stress together, that you build some really strong emotional bonds too. We've had that happen with season 3. There was a very strong bond between the firefighters and the doctors. There was I don't know if you've watched the U.S. teams, but season 3 there was two contestants that were both named Stephen, who were both firefighters. And that was one of the teams. And another one was Austin and Justin. So they had that kind of, rhyming part of their name. And they were doctors, pediatricians, in fact. And they built this incredibly strong bond. And when one of the teams went home, it was just really sad, to see. It's like, I'm sorry, but, we love you and we'll see you afterwards. Now, do you keep in touch with your castmates? I know you recently went to the Christchurch Brick Show.
Yeah, the Christchurch Brick Show was the first time that we had all seen each other in person since filming, pretty much. Like, we've seen a couple of people here and there. Angus and I live in the same city, so we run into each other all the time. It's a very small town. But yeah, we have a group chat on WhatsApp that was originally made to put out comms for the show when we were filming, but that group chat has been active every day since. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, there's always something going on in there, someone sharing their new creation or their latest purchase. It's such a nice group of people, and I think we are all still friends, and we have, like you said, that bonding experience of having all been through the same process.
Right.
Very unique. And yeah, and it's created a really nice bond between us.
Oh, that's great, especially when you can continue those relationships moving forward. And we have another person in the chat here. Debo Bricks is in the house. Howdy, Naomi, PT, Oli, and Charlie.
Howdy,
Debo. Debo recently went to Brick World Chicago, and I'm not sure if you had the invitation, but they had the most Lego Masters in one place from multiple shows. They had some people from Australia, from the Netherlands, from the US. I think they had, what did Yo-Yo say? I think 45 or 48, something like that. Wow. Yeah. So you may want to keep that on your calendar for the future. Right. Brick World Chicago 2024. They may have, because each year we're going to have a season 4. And I think Australia said they're going to have a season 6. And rumor has it there may be a New Zealand season 3 coming up sometime.
Australia will have seasons forever. Their show is so successful. Like, we can always count on them, I think, to keep going.
Well, we love your show. So I'm so thankful. Well, Robin Sather, both PT and I have known Robin Sather prior to doing the Lego Master New Zealand reviews. And he's just an amazing person, not just a builder, but just a genuinely nice person. And he's been very supportive of us with these reviews. But I think that if he has a chance to come back to do the filming, and he shared with us, as well as I think it was Carson, a couple others have shared with us, that you had to do the filming for both season 1 and season 2 together, mostly because you have your judge from Canada, so they couldn't fly him back and forth. And so how was it like for the two of you having to wait for a whole year before you could tell people you were on Lego Masters? Because you had to keep a very tight-lipped, you couldn't say anything, right? So how was that for you, watching season 1, knowing you're on season 2 and you couldn't say anything?
There was some parts of it where they were actually quite fun. So we didn't tell anyone, including our parents, the result. We pretended to our mum that if we made it to the final, we would have filmed 3 different endings and had to, react in that we didn't actually know. And they were telling me on the actual night after we won, oh, by the way, we knew the whole time. So my mother, however, she pretty much told everyone she knew that we were on the show. And so one thing that I thought was quite cool is, since I started university after filming the show, there was a few of my friends who I told I was on Lego Masters, but because of the fact that they didn't know who I was, they thought I was lying about the whole thing. I lied to them by telling them the truth almost, because I thought it was quite entertaining having them just think I'm having them on just by telling them random things about the show, even though they didn't believe a word of it.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because if you don't have that history with these people, they might just think that you're just fibbing for the whole, just for attention. And then once the show started, I'm sure they were going, "Are you kidding me? You were actually on the show?"
Yeah. So
Well,
funny.
Speaking of show, we do have some slides from episode 9. And there is something that I noticed that is interesting, having to do with Charlie, what you're wearing. So did you notice this, PT?
The shirt?
Well, we're going to pull up the slides in a
It's
second.
been so long, I can't even remember.
You because you won episode 7, you had a buy, so you didn't have to build for episode 8. And if my eyes are not deceiving me, and when we pull up everybody in the next slide, I think in the roster, that Charlie is wearing a red shirt. That shirt, Charlie, the one you're wearing on the red there, that says what, Palmerston North, which is where you're from, right?
Yeah.
That you had worn that same shirt at the beginning of episode 8, right before they told you, okay, you got to buy, you don't have to build. and I was thinking to myself, oh, so either they built the same day, or the person in charge of wardrobe didn't tell you got to wear a different shirt. Because you wear the same shirt for episode 9.
There was actually a completely different reason to that. I wore a different shirt that said Beast, as in like the popular YouTuber Mr. Beast. However, due to the color scheme on it, it was clashing with Oli's color scheme for the green screen and full screen interviews. So I had to quickly run off set, and fortunately I had that shirt with me.
Okay.
And that's why I was wearing it, as opposed to some.
Yeah, we had to bring a backup outfit every day.
Right.
But because it was the last episode, I didn't have any more backup outfits left. Like so many of the. I also didn't expect to stay on the show for as long, so I didn't bring enough clothes. So I kept having to buy clothes while we were there. The horror having to Auckland. That was terrible. So I'd run out of clothes, and they were like, "One of you has to change." And I said to Charlie, "I'm so sorry. I know you want to wear the Mr. Beast shirt, but I don't have any clothes that I can wear that I haven't worn already on previous episodes."
Well, so I'm a little surprised that if you brought the Mr. Beast shirt, in the US they wouldn't let you wear it, because it would be almost like advertising for that YouTuber.
Yeah.
So it actually probably was fortuitous. But that red shirt, so if anybody's watching the shows, spoiler alert, the red shirt makes an appearance twice. It shows up both in episode 8 and in episode 9.
Bonus points also, I believe in the first episode, Charlie wears that same shirt, but a purple.
I didn't go back that far.
Really?
Yeah. Like same design, but different color.
Oh, okay.
So it's a favorite shirt of yours then.
Well, we bought a bunch of other shirts like that had Disney and Star Wars on them and Mario sorts of stuff, which only found out as we got there that we weren't allowed to wear them.
Right.
So I gave Mum a call, who was coming up to visit us halfway through the season, saying, "Hey, can you give me some more shirts?" And she stopped by the store, which had Foxton and Shannon Pride and that sort of Palmerston North shirt, and that's why the whole series I'm wearing those ones. Which I'm so glad that happened, because that's a way better thing to wear, I reckon, than just some Disney shirts.
Well, I'm actually glad you mentioned that, Charlie, because Whippy Whipster, who is a New Zealand Twitch streamer, mentioned that you were wearing shirts that were local, and that you ended up promoting those local communities. Like Amherst, I think, was one of them.
Ashurst.
Right.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah,
and
now we know the backstory, that it was because you had those Disney shirts that they said you had to go with something else. So you're actually getting a lot of bonus points from the locals for promoting the local communities. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've had a bit of that in person too, right, Charlie?
Yeah, like being recognized quite a bit when I wear those sort of shirts, because that's my normal wear. It makes me also stand out more to random people walking around. They're like, "Hey, you're that Lego guy, right?"
Yeah.
Now, we did hear from Angus that when you walk through these doors, that you have to do it multiple takes, and you have to look surprised every time you walk through. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. But Charlie, you took a different take on a few episodes. So where did the idea of you like rolling through or sliding through as the doors were coming up? Did you just decide to do that? And I was really glad that the producers let you do that.
It was just like when we were standing at the door for what episode, I thought to myself, what if I slide under the door? It was just an intrusive thought, and I did it, and I was expecting them to be like, all right, we've got to retake that, don't do that. And then they were like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so ended up doing it for the next few takes, hurt my butt after doing it, I think 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah.
And on the 3rd time trying to do it, I was all ready to go on my running stance. Then I stepped forward. Due to all the dry ice, I just completely slipped over and fell on my face.
Oh, no.
Quite a good laugh out there. I'm glad they cut it out. But I saw the rolling door come up halfway. Then there was me lying down on my face, and it just went down.
See, I love these behind the scenes types of discussions. This is great. All right.
So you guys walk in. There's the trophy, and you got Di and Robin there with you. And then they basically brief you guys and say, "Hey, this is your final build." Did they tell you? Did you guys going into this? Did you guys talk about what you were going to build or anything like that? Did you know the final episode, what the final build would be?
Charlie?
Yeah, every season, they can just do whatever they want as their finale build, and we were told that ahead of time. We're also told that we'd have between 20 and 24 hours before the challenge. We didn't know the exact time until filming, which I imagine was also adjusted due to the whole filming schedule being quite compressed. And so me and Oli knew basically from the start of the season that if we made it to the final, we'd want to build some cool dragon thing, and that idea evolved over the series. But due to that buy that we had in episode 8, that meant that we really got to plan it out quite well. And so when the time of the finale came, you just saw me run off straight to the brick pit. Same with Oli, because we already knew what we were doing.
Wow. Well, that was an advantage. Did you guys practice or do any builds when you had that buy time? Did you, or was it just to kind of conceptually lay out and what you wanted to do?
It was mainly just conceptual, except for the mechanisms. Like the dragon wing mechanism, that was developed, I think, about 2 weeks out to the actual finale, just in case we made it, because I knew that would be quite a complicated mechanism, so I wanted to be able to build and test it to make sure it would work. And also, same with the egg mechanisms. They were built during that buy time after me just seeing a short video of someone doing a similar thing on Instagram, and I thought, copy that, but make it my own.
Well, that's cool. All right. Naomi, I'm going to go to the brief. The brief.
We joke about this because we had a couple interviews with some contestants where they said it would have been nice if they just would have had a little card right next to our table that just had the brief to remind us about what is important, because sometimes there's a misinterpretation about what was required in the build. So I told PT, when we're doing these reviews, we got to have a brief slide.
Yeah. Really
so
good.
in our case, for the finale, and what Charlie had mentioned earlier is that you have 24 hours to build, and the 24 hours you can build essentially whatever you want. So the grand finale here, and it just has to have a clear story, a compelling story that is a clear concept, and that you have to make sure it's executed well, and that you give the audience a sense of wonder. And they mentioned this part about the audience, a sense of wonder, but they didn't mention what we'll see later about what you really see with this audience. And want to say hello to Two Humble Bricks too, who's in the chat. Hello, how's it going?
Hello, Two Humble Bricks.
Hey, Yvette. And I misspoke here. It says 22 hours rather than 24 hours. And it goes back to, I think, the compressed schedule that you had. because we also noticed in New Zealand that your broadcast schedule, not the production, but the broadcast, it was 3 weeks in a row, 3 days in a row, which was really unusual. And when PT and I were talking about doing the reviews, we said, we're going to do it once a week. So we're not going to do 3 days in a row.
Thank you.
Follow with your process. So yeah, but this idea of the grand finale, and that was really smart, Charlie, to kind of pre-work your mechanism off screen and before you had to start when the time started. So that's awesome.
Cool. So we'll go into some start with Andrew and Harry and some progress builds.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I saw them when they first started out. They just really started hammering out these pentagons and hexagons. I was like, whoa. I didn't know what they were doing exactly, just as they started going and building them out. But you could see the progress pretty quickly. And of course, I'm sure at this point of the contest, everyone's pretty primed. They spend a little time organizing and thinking about it and then hit the bricks.
Yeah, I think I was just going to say that it seems like they also had some pre-planning that they did before this particular finale.
Yeah. They told us that, I believe that they told us what shape they were wanting to build. And when they said it, I was like, oh, cool. I have no idea what that is. Googled it. It's like a half a soccer ball.
Right.
So they told us that they wanted to build that shape. And I was like, that's amazing. Go for it. But I didn't know what they were going to do with said shape. And then, of course, the first part of the building, as you can see here, was just them making that shape. So even then, for the first few hours, we had no idea what they were actually going for.
Right.
It turned out so amazing. I love it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And we have a couple punsters in the chat, just so you know, that I could do a clear concept if they have light blue bricks. So
this guy.
Nice, Debo. Nice.
Debo is just be prepared. We usually have a couple punsters who like to contribute. But Charlie, I'm sorry, you were saying something before I brought that up.
Oh yeah, one thing that I think worked quite well for them is they're really good at doing like digital designing Lego stuff. So for that build, they built pretty much all of it in like a 3D CAD modeling thing. And so I mean, they were just basically following instructions that they'd written, which meant they could build those shapes quite quickly. And so I think that was quite a cool process that they had. And also between all our finale teams, we all like kept it secret what each other was building, not like trying to be rude to each other, but because we all wanted to be sort of surprised by each other. And so it was cool working out other people's stories as they were making them.
Wow.
And the choice of the blue and brown is also a really nice contrast, and it really made it pop as well. And I think they stayed away from reddish brown.
Yeah.
and just because of the factor that it's so brittle.
Yeah. And there was very few different kinds of bricks in that particular color in the brick pit. So I think that took them a long time as well, because they were building with a lot smaller pieces than they'd hoped. Like a lot of them were just 1 by 2 and 1 by 4 plates. So, but that does create that beautiful texture that they've got, which bigger bricks can't do in the same way.
Wow. I even you can kind of see on this shot the little greebling that they have going on. Not just within the solid blue, but in between they put in some. Yeah. Which was really nice.
Space, sci-fi kind of style greebling is very fun.
Yeah.
Charlie's very good at that. I like how it looks, but I cannot do it myself.
Yeah. And this is kind of a shot of that spaceship that they built too. Eventually they'll have a bunch of space people running too with their story.
Yes, that was so cute.
It was quite cool how they took the classic space theme that I'm sure quite a few people grew up with, and then they really modernized it and moved it on to something new. I think that was very cool to see.
It is. It kind of has a nostalgia thing, especially for me, because mine were classic space for some of the first sets I had that, so that's something I kind of gravitate towards.
Mm.
All right. The next team is Carson and Angus and their Sun Gyro. And
I loved this one too. I mean, all of the teams,
awesome.
all three were just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
That gyrosphere that they made is just the most incredible thing out of Lego I think I've ever seen. It blows my mind every time I see it, like in a picture or video. Just so mesmerizing.
Carson is really good at brick bendings, like making, round shapes with Lego. And it was something that he didn't quite get to use so much throughout the show. And so it was really cool that he got to go all out doing like his favorite thing in his finale build.
Yeah, Karsten was on our show, and he talked a lot about the brick bending piece and how just it was nice to have that complement of skills, kind of like in your team, you have a complement of skills. And he, as you mentioned, he just had a chance to kind of spread his wings with this particular build.
Yeah.
He did. So Charlie and Ollie, have you guys done brick building before? I mean, brick bending, sorry.
A little bit. Not that much. I think we do more of the those like hinge pieces, the 2x1 hinge pieces that clip together with the pin. I'm very comfortable using those, but brick bending was not something that I really ventured into before.
Gotcha. Just curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lego robotic stuff that I've done some brick bending, but not like the nice stuff that he's talking about and doing. I mean, just like accidentally warping bricks in ways that they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, the globe you did, the globe you did with the Technic isn't technically bending, but you had these wonderful shapes that you put together and a mechanism to open and close that cage too. And I'm just curious about, you mentioned practicing about, the wings of the finale. Was that cage mechanism something you had done before? And that's why it was easy for you to put it together so quickly?
Pretty much everything about that globe was originals that we hadn't like practiced or done before. So that was probably our most stressful episode because of just how fragile it was and how unique of a challenge the whole build was.
I think I don't want to speak for you, Charlie, but throughout Lego Masters, I've learned so much about turning the square bricks into round shapes, like various different ways. I didn't have a whole lot of knowledge about doing that beforehand, and as the show progressed, I just found myself naturally doing it more and more, and so that was really cool to get more comfortable with that kind of thing.
Well, as a callback to the Kiwiana episode, the round shapes you did for the kiwi and the sheep are a testament to your round shape capabilities.
Yeah. I think it started with the eggs for our mechanimal Pukeko build.
Oh, right.
Charlie showed me like a basic way of how to use the snot bricks to make a sphere, and I just kind of went from there. And that was the beginning of the new addiction, I think. Making rounded things.
That's all right. So this is, I remember this part of the episode where he had it spinning. He turned it on and he steps back and it's just, you watch it spin, that gyro spin you're like, whoa.
Actual goosebumps.
Yeah. It would just have that awe factor.
Yeah.
That I really liked. All right.
And the use of the trans pieces, the red on the sides of the pillars too.
Yeah.
And the whole Egyptian kind of motif that kind of comes out of this. Just stunning.
I think we ended up.
How the red things are almost like eyes peering through.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I think coincidentally, us three teams all ended up taking a very like traditional theme and making it unique, like the knights and dragons and the space and the Egyptian theme. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's true. I didn't think about that.
I only just thought about it now.
Yeah.
Like, it's very tried and true themes, but
Mhm.
I think what made it so cool was that we all
You did a
had
pivot.
unique takes on them.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like an adventurous theme here. You've got classic space, and then you guys have
Mhm.
knights and
Yeah.
dragons. So that's true. I didn't think about that.
And before you move on to the next
I
one,
see it.
Devo has a comment. Welcome to Gyroscope Park. And now that you mention it, Devo, this also has a Jurassic Park theme because the
It
way
does.
the pillars are made, right?
Yeah. You're so
Oh my
right.
gosh. All you need is a little baby dinosaur. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Too funny. All right, and now we get into your guys' team build. Prince being rescued.
That's us.
Yep, and this is this is where I know Charlie started working with these big long wings, and it was moving, until it started clicking, and then you started adding weight, and then you pivoted from there. Is that lava that you're working on, Ollie?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, that was inspired by because we were staying in an Airbnb for the first part of the filming with Henny and Peter, and Peter built this beautiful rock formation in a lava field using that like gradient kind of style with the
nice.
So that was in part inspired by that, but on a much bigger scale. And I built a whole bunch of little pieces and then slotted them together because we didn't have big base plates in the brick pit.
Wow. Let's see. This is now. Is that the dragon's head you're holding?
It is. Okay. Yeah, that's one of the dragon heads. I spent a long time building the first head, and that made me stressed out about time for in the future. But then because I already built one, the second one came along quite quickly.
And Oli actually has had and has currently axolotls as pets. And that's what inspired you partially with the head, right?
Yeah.
We had axolotls before it was cool.
Right.
Before
axolotls are getting popular. Didn't they add an axolotl to one of the Lego sets recently?
Yeah, the Minecraft. There's
little
Minecraft axolotls. And I think there's a new Minecraft set coming out in the August release that has more axolotls. So I'll be looking out for that.
And I think this is where you started having that clicking issue with the weight on the wings. I was waiting to see, because this reminded me, you had clicking when we talked earlier about the globe. And I was really impressed where you're like, oh, it's clicking. And then I just remember you're like, Ollie, come here, hold this. And you're starting to lift it up. And she's like, are we going to break this? And you just, by elevating it and slanting it, it gave enough weight off the gears to make it open. I thought something like that was going to happen here. I was thinking like, oh, he's going to find this click and go, okay, I know what's wrong. I was waiting for that. I thought that was anyways, I thought it was very ingenious that you knew what the issue was and how to fix it on that globe.
Thank goodness.
They edited like that. Clicking in the globe was quite literally in the last 10 minutes. That wasn't. It was actually at the very last minute, so it was too late to pull the thing apart and try and fix it, because I believe it was just one of the gears had broken, and so by leaning it forward, it meant that the globe couldn't shut like it did in all our. It was meant to be able to open and shut, but when we leaned it forward, it could only just open. That was all we needed, and so that was a very desperate fix, and we were really happy that we managed to do it.
Well, you fooled us because, and this goes back to the editing, right? They edited it so that you had the opening, and we just assumed that it could close as well, going back. Because I think in your earlier frame builds that you were able to open and close it. Wow.
And this is your princess, right? Coming to rescue the prince?
Yeah,
The prince.
yeah, that was a
The
lot of
princess.
fun.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So
That's all I was saying.
yeah, no, I noticed. So this is the like in Bill, but the final you ended up putting, I think it was little plant pieces in between, like as ribbon.
Yeah, I did end up doing that. I just thought it looked cute.
Oh, I didn't know if it was like a design change. Like you know
Yeah,
what?
it was also. I think it was also functional because these pigtails were very fragile, but they were still fragile even after adding those extra bricks. So I don't think I can't remember if it was a functional or just aesthetic thing. But either way, they were still very fragile. But I'm glad it held together in the end.
Yeah, it looked cool. I'm a sucker for brick built characters, so I love, like I loved your little corn people from that build.
The corn people.
I love the corn people.
Yes, the corn family, and then your little spacemen with the that you guys built for the Marble Run one.
Oh yes, the crew were obsessed with those. Like as soon as we wrapped filming for that episode, they all just like swooped in and were like, "I want one! I want one! I want one!" I think there were originally like 10 of them, and none were left immediately after they were gone. I really wish I could have kept one of the corn people as well, but unfortunately they died horrible deaths. The wrecking ball,
fire,
and the fire.
Yeah, it's a wrecking ball and the fire.
Yeah,
and I was looking at this is the sculpture of your prince. That yeah,
bit of a goofy guy. I did have a lot of fun in this build with using random parts for various things, partially because I wanted to like test myself, but also because I figured it's the last episode, like we're going to go home regardless after this, so might as well just have as much fun as we can.
All in, all or nothing.
Yeah.
So what made you guys build? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, so I'm not much of an aesthetic person, so all the characters were done by Oli. And one thing that I thought was really cool was I looked on afterwards at the details, and like the prince had saxophones for his chest, or just all the crazy uses of sausages and other random
I love sausages.
And there was so many random parts which may not have been too noticed, but it was just quite crazy how these parts that have been in the brick pit completely unused, like the saxophones, until finally Oli used them in these very strange ways, but it just worked.
Mm-hmm.
Get you that shape that you want. So do you have a question about this scale? You know, this is not like a mini land scale. This is just, what made you pick that size of scale? Is it just to give you detail or?
Yeah, I think it was the amount of detail that I was wanting to put into the figures, and originally I was planning more to have more proportional bodies, but when we looked at the entire like build makeup of build, we were like, that's going to be way too big, so we instead went with a little like chibi style, which I think worked out well because we got several compliments on that, and I was like, oh yeah, it was definitely on purpose.
That was the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. But yeah, I really like how it worked out, and I wouldn't have changed.
Now you mentioned chibi style. You have a lot of influences from anime and other Japanese animation, maybe, or
perhaps like unintentionally.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of go with whatever bricks I can find, and how they will work with what I'm wanting to do. So I'm not sure exactly where they. Oh, thanks, Brick Jedi.
Great job sculpting. Sorry, it covers your head when we do those comments.
No, that's okay.
Quick.
I don't know exactly where all my inspiration comes from. I think it's an amalgamation of everything.
I was going to ask if Wallace and Gromit was also an influence, because the kiwi and the lamb, it had a very Wallace and Gromit kind of feel.
I see that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not intentionally, but probably subconsciously it was there.
We very much with all of our builds just made it up as we went along. And that was one thing that I think worked out really well. Like we come up with some basic idea like Bananageddon, having a big banana attacking a little city, but then coming up with all the little side stories. We just talked about that while we were building, and with all these great storytelling ideas, I think that worked out really well. And it also meant that we had very strange scales for our build. Like every build was different sort of sizes, and it was depending on what we wanted to do. Like if we used minifigures in our final dragon, you wouldn't have been able to see the cool details, and Ollie wouldn't have been able to show off their cool, nice parts usage skills. So by just making things up as we went along, it meant that we could make some unique and very cool builds.
I think the character builds really distinguished you. We were just talking about the kiwi and the sheep, and then also these figures for the prince and the princess. And I think you just hit the nail on the head that a lot of people rely on the minifigs as a way to tell the story, but they're just too small from a large scale. You really have to go up. And some people say, well, what about minifig land scale? And even that might be too small, that you have to even go even larger than that. So I think you really captured it with a lot of your builds.
Thank you. Yeah, I
That's
think.
one thing.
Sorry, Charlie. I think that is something that sets us aside, is that we don't limit ourselves to the like general scales of Lego. Like there's minifigure scale, there's mini land scale. Actually, Lego bricks, you can build whatever scale and size you want. Was that what you were also going to say, Charlie?
Well, one thing Robin mentioned is the 10-3-1. So like, he wants to be able to see some build from 10 meters away, then come 3 meters and understand the story, and 1 meter away see lots of cool details. And with minifigures, if you're 3 meters away, all you can see is just the fact that it's a minifigure. Whereas with all these cool characters from 3 meters, you can see their cool expressions, and then when you're up close from 1 meter, you can see the crazy details of, like, as I said earlier, the saxophones on the chest.
Say that again. So 10-3-1 at 10 feet, you see what?
10 meters.
Oh, 10 meters.
So at 10 meters, you want to see some big hero idea. Like for our 10 meters, you'd see some big dragon. That's something to be just wow. And you want to just see the real shape of the build just to get some idea. And then at 3 meters away, you should be able to understand the story. And so once you're 3 meters walking around, you can see all the cool characters and what was going on. Like you can see the princess fighting off the dragon. And then when you get up close in the 1 meter, then you can truly see all the lots of little details that have been worked in there.
Gotcha. That's how. Well, I just like that. 10-3-1's a great.
I think in the U.S. we've had 110-1 as the same kind of, but with feet for the benchmark. It's like from
easier numbers to remember.
Right.
I don't think our studio was big enough to have the 100 factor in feet or meters.
So we were just talking to Yo-Yo Firebricks, who is one of the contestants from season 3, and we were talking about New Hashima. Have you heard about the New Hashima build from Brick World Chicago? It is a cyberpunk city that is massive. It had 80 contributors from 7 different countries. Just I'll put it in the chat. But if you do a search on New Hashima cyberpunk, what happened is that this thing was so massive you could see it from 100 feet away in this big convention hall, and then you get closer and closer, you see some of the details, and even getting up 1 foot away, you still don't see all the details. And the review that Beyond the Brick did of this mock took 2.5 hours just to go through the mock. And it's on YouTube, so I will put that in the chat too. But look at the Beyond the Brick. Yeah, Beyond the Brick video is 2.5 hours long. Oh, thank you, PT, for putting that in the chat.
That's just the Instagram account.
That's the Instagram, but the YouTube video, it takes 2.5 hours, and we interviewed them just last Sunday, and they said that didn't even go through all the details. You'd have to go back several times to take it all in.
I don't know what happened there. I just flipped around. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay.
Technical
We're very casual here. If you probably
difficulties.
We're very casual here, and but I think going back to the characters, I think you and also Rachel and Jason, that team also did some amazing jobs with characters, and that they were part of the central story, and they weren't minifigure scale.
Oh, I don't know. I was looking for my little tree fairy guy. I think he's piled under some Lego here.
Oh, it's okay.
So this is when I think you were putting the detail on the tail of the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
That had to be a long process, because I'm watching all these. These are studs. These are one by one tiles you're putting on studs.
It kind of matches your shirt too.
Thank you. That was intentional.
There's a little foreshadowing is that you come out in this shirt. It's like, yeah, we're gonna put dragon scales on.
Yeah. So the color scheme was decided by the availability of colors within the brick pick, because we had big scales and little scales. So the green and blue colorway was like the only ones that complemented each other.
Right.
So that was why we chose those ones. And I made sure to ask the other two teams if they were planning to use any of those little quarter circle green bricks, because I was like, if you're not using them, I will be taking all of them. So if you use them, please let me know now. And yeah, Luca, who was our one of our head brick pit sorter guy, I asked him to get as many of those as possible. I think he ended up even taking some off of old builds that they were still in the process of dismantling, because I was using so many. So Luca, if you're watching this, I'm sorry.
And
I told people, because people would say, I want to go on to Lego Masters to have access to the brick pit. I said, I want to have access to all the people supporting the brick pit, because if you need certain parts, they're bringing them to you, right? And you have to go search for them. But I imagine having access plus all the support people, it just must have been just amazing.
Yeah, and I think sorry, Charlie, you go.
Two things I'd like to add on that. So the whole color palette, that's a great reason why you should learn artistic skills, because that's from Oli's degree. And art makes you better at Lego, just like how math does. So any of you watching, make sure to remember that. And also, in terms of the brick, unfortunately, it doesn't have every brick in every color. So I think we originally did the dragon like purple with purple scales, but there was very few purple bricks in there, so we had to pivot the idea, but it ended up working out really well.
Yeah.
We noticed when they had the beauty shots from the storybook episode that the darker palette, so if you had a purple dragon, it would not have looked as well because of the dark backdrop of the beauty shots. So actually having white and reds and yellows and brighter colors actually works in your favor. So this was phenomenal, seeing it with the beauty shot too.
Thank you so much. I think we also went for light colors because we knew that the volcano that it was sitting on was going to be quite dark. But I don't even know if we considered the actual set, but that's a really good point. It popped out so well in the photos and clips, which is great.
Right. Yeah, we had this conversation, I think, with Jake last week about just how different builds, because of the color palette, would not pop as much because of the backdrop. And so that's something else to keep in mind if you are going to go on Lego Masters.
Yeah.
And Debo likes your equation, art plus math equals Lego.
I'm not really good at the math part, so I'm going to have to trust that you added that up correctly, Debo.
Oh, that's funny. Did you know, I got a question on this shot here. Did you know that you were going to do this blast of ice or coming out? I mean, was that in your original design or original concept?
Yeah, so from the original concept, we knew we wanted to have like some big fire breath coming out, but they didn't have the big fire pieces on that side, so it ended up being the blue color, the ice one. And it was only after building that we realized that there's going to be a bit of a droop in the middle. That was something that I didn't think about. And so in the rock pillars that we added to cover up that support, that was only in the last like 30 minutes. And it was one of the, probably my favorite part of the build, because it was such a last minute unplanned addition, and yet it worked out so well to just bring our build together.
Right.
It did, and I remember. I think Robin came up and said, "Oh, is this just going to be there?" And he's like, "Okay, this is
Yeah, I think we learned to read Robin very well, which is, yeah, I think that was a good trait to have.
Very nice. All right. Well, let's go into these final builds.
The final builds.
I can't wait to see them.
And actually, first
These are the
up,
beauty shots coming up.
this is as obviously this is your guys' final build, and Di and Robin are here. I do have to comment that little voting box. I thought I was like, what are they doing? And then as they explained, I was like, oh. For those watching, I didn't know they had audience come in and we're in the room for the 3 builds walking around. We have a couple shots later we'll show. And they each had a brick to vote for their favorite build out of the 3. So I thought that was really, really cool. I haven't seen that before. So,
well, it was like a gallery that the 3 were there, and they mentioned this in the brief about how it has to have some impact to your audience. And so that was kind of like foreshadowing. Did you think they were going to be bringing in just random people to come in and vote for your build, or when you saw that part of the brief?
Robin said that. Sorry. Robin said that they were trying to get like as wide of a demographic of ages as possible. So that was good to know. That's all I have on that.
Right.
Cool. All right. So here's some beauty shots.
Here's the beauty shot. So once again, if the dragon was purple, that wouldn't have popped as much as the white.
Yeah. Also, one thing that we did think about, since we knew that they were going to be general public and that Robin mentioned to us, is the whole 360-degree aspect of it. Like that was something that I think we managed to better than the other teams. Like that worked well with us. Not trying to denote what they did because they did amazing stuff. But what I mean by that is like there was the knight who had their butt being burned by one of the baby dragons, and that you could only see if you walked all the way around the build. And that was one thing that Robin mentioned to us. We were like, yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So I want to ask, tell me about the mechanism to make your egg shake. What exactly is that?
The shape or the shaking?
No, the shaking.
Oh, that's...
Yeah. So we got one of those weird like yellow gears, which have just got the 4 teeth. They're quite big. You can do them 90 degrees or straight. I'm not sure if this does that make sense? Like they've got
I think they're called dog gears. Is that right? I think.
Yeah, we just have one of them spinning, and there was just a plate sitting on top of that, like just a random flat piece basically. And so since that was spinning around, it was causing it to move, and the egg was just balanced on one Lego axle, so it could move up and down. And because it was only attached at one point, it could also wiggle around a little bit.
Oh, nice.
And so it was this really simple mechanism that just ended up working so well, and that was probably my favorite mechanism because you could only notice that one if you were up close, and it just that created such a sense of wonder. Like one thing that I always try to do in the build is cover up how the mechanisms are done, because that's one thing mentioned previously is creating the sense of wonder. And when you can't see how any of it's done, but you just see it moving, it makes it almost feel magical.
No, it was just really cool. And I've been experimenting with gears and movement and Lego, and so I was really curious. So thanks for the tip, Charlie.
I saw that one on Instagram.
Very nice.
We modified it.
It was like an Easter themed build, I think, because we were shooting just after. This was like end of April, beginning of May. So Easter had been a couple of weeks ago, and I saw that an Easter egg design on Instagram, sent it to Charlie, and was like, "Hey, we should incorporate this."
Well, that's totally cool.
Instagram is definitely a great resource, and I'm wondering, for any of your mechanical builds, do you follow people like JK Brickworks and people who do the mechanical builds like that? Is there anybody in
Absolutely.
particular?
I follow lots of different, things like that to get inspiration. But generally, most of the mechanisms are unique. Like the dragon, one thing that I thought was quite cool was, there've been lots of like 2-stage dragon wings with like the shoulder and elbow moves. I think that's the only one ever to have 3 different stages.
Wow.
And so that was one thing that made it quite difficult. And so I looked at what a bunch of other people had done to get the 2 stages and then worked on extending from there. So yeah, it's quite a great source, the internet, seeing what other people have done and trying to learn and improve on that.
And this is where we're looking at this picture. I see where those saxophones are.
Yeah.
That is a nice detail, kind of giving the prince some gold buttons or detailing on there. Very nice.
We also have some comments in the chat as far as so Debo is mentioning every situation requires its own mechanism. True. And then Lego equals time plus money divided by space.
That one I understand.
So this is your princess and then one of the knights. And this is what like I said, I'm a sucker for brick built characters. So off that picture, I rebuilt your knight.
I love that.
So I thought it was pretty cool. I honestly didn't know I had this many handcuffs. I don't even know if I have enough. And I looked and I have actually about twice that. So I was pretty impressed.
Did you special order those handcuffs?
No, you know how you get extras in box parts. And
yeah,
stuff.
you always get a extra handcuff, I think.
Probably from City Builds, right? All those City sets that you're doing.
Cops and robber builds, yeah.
Now, the reason why I asked about the anime influence is this particular shot with the princess, like kind of jumping off and an action shot. I just absolutely love, and I could see like an anime version of that.
Thank you. That is such a nice compliment. Yeah, I can see
you
that.
You see it too? But it wasn't your intent. But I was saying that if you just take that, you could probably put it into an AI builder and say, take this photo and make it into an anime style. And what do you bet? It would just.
I know what I'm doing after this.
Okay. Yeah, tag it on Instagram and say, after the Brickanista show, we did this AI GPT or Chat GPT, whatever it is.
GPT.
Yeah. I would love to see that as this converted to anime.
If it turns out well, I will.
Yes, please. Oh, Ivan Arroyo is in the house. Hello. I finally have decided to take apart my Lego Taj Mahal for parts. Oh, and use it for mocks. And Saturday I went to the Lego store in Raleigh, North Carolina, and bought 2 Lego sets. Well, welcome, Ivan. Good to have you here. And apparently Debo says your knight shops at Saks Fifth Avenue. Or the prince shops at Saks Fifth Avenue.
Ivan, I have a question for Ivan, if that's okay.
Yeah, have at it.
Ivan, are you a really small person or do you have a really big truck? Or both? Because that photo is incredible.
And then it says Lego Speed Champions and the Lego Creator Classic Land Rover Defender. Wow.
Yeah. We do.
I think it is just a big truck from that photo there. Like those wheels look massive.
That's awesome. God bless America.
Kudos to you.
It's beautiful. I mean,
I do love just the whole, and also it's great that you were mentioning earlier about the blue for the ice instead of fire coming out of the dragon, because then you have the lava as a counterpoint, right? Because if it was red, it wouldn't pop as much and it might be confusing because it would, you'd look at the red and the lava. So having it blue and white is just spot on. It's really great.
Yeah, I think it was very fortuitous with this build that pretty much everything that we originally considered to be like a hindrance or a barrier actually challenged us and to make it better.
Right.
Than it would have been if we just had every single kind of Lego brick. And I think if everything went exactly as planned, I don't think it would have been as fun or as good.
And that's a rad photo of the build. I
I
agree.
know, right?
Right?
Thank you
Check
for
that out.
that.
And no, the truck I went to pick up a seat in the company is called Ameritruck, and they gave me a ride.
That's awesome.
Thanks for letting us know.
Thanks, Ivan.
Thank you, Ivan. I can rest peacefully now.
One of the things which I didn't catch originally was I didn't see you guys putting lighting, and I don't know how I missed it, but I thought that was neat to have that detail, even though it probably wasn't. I don't know how well you could see it unless you were up on close, but it was
Yeah,
really
I think only the adults would have been able to see it.
Mhm.
yeah.
I did make it like the back of the volcano was a little bit lower than the front with like a few sort of like cracks in it, sort of thing, that you could see on the inside. And just underneath, it had two of the Mindstorms hubs with just a bunch of those little 1x1 transparent bricks just chucked on it until they filled up whatever gaps there were.
That was really good. And were the lights flickering in there? Did you have them programmed to flicker? Or
Yep. So there were two Mindstorms hubs in there, each of them controlling 6 lights just to fade in and fade out. And just I turned them on at separate times so that one of them would fade in while the other one's fading out and create the cool luminescent effect.
cool. That's cool. All right. The next team is Carson and Angus, and they had the sun gyro. And here is their beauty shot. Actually, the gyro is in motion, I think, in this one. That's why it's a little fun. And you can see it fully dressed out. I did like where are they? Here they are, the little boats that they put on the water. And I know they were trying to magnetize it, but they ended up abandoning that idea. But I thought that was pretty cool to see. I like those little boats.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to what you were saying too about that Egyptian theme, and that the eyes are staring at you, because even with the lights coming out, it really makes it kind of that eeriness of it. Yeah, really like that.
Yeah, those pillars are just so well done. I didn't realize until now just how like randomized those bricks are, and it's such a cool little detail.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, you were talking about the 360 view, that this seems like it has a better view from two sides because of the way the pillar was made. I don't know if we have a shot of the other sides where you're looking at the pillar kind of from the side view.
No, they don't. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think we do.
Yeah, but I'm curious, since you were there, Oli and Charlie, the view, if you're looking at the pillar from the side rather than from the front, did they have some embellishments on the side as well?
Yeah, I think there was a zigzag design going all the way up.
All the way up. Yeah, you can kind of see a little reddish.
Like the one in the middle, I think it was the same as that.
Yes, there it is.
But
Yeah, you can
all
see
the
it.
way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
And they have little hieroglyphs all the way around the
That is so cool.
base, which is so cool.
I love that.
You can see it right there.
Thanks, PT.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm learning a new trick, and then you can kind of see it going up the side. So.
Wow, it's like a TikTok.
It was a digital laser pin, is what that was.
Oh, okay. Good
Which
to know.
I didn't know we had, versus a highlighter, which I guess you can highlight stuff. But yeah, all right.
All those figs are dressed the same. Is that a minifig cult?
I think we were not allowed to use the word cult, but
they were sun worshippers.
They were followers.
Yeah, they were sun worshippers, and they all worshipped the sun together as a group.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose they could have put them all in swimsuits. That'd have been the same thing, right?
Excellent.
Oh, I lose my mouse. All right. And the last build is Andrew and Harry and their Mars NATO. Let's see. There's their glamour shot. And yeah, in this one, I know they had, that little dust storm was spinning.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, did they use lights anywhere on their build? or any other?
They
Logo?
like somewhere, I think, inside the dome particularly. And one thing that I think is quite cool is that reddish, like brown color that they've got on the whole base and the floor to create that Mars landscape color. That's such a uncommon brick that you could only do when on Lego Masters, and it was really cool to be able to use that sort of color palette.
No, I thought that was cool. There's kind of a close up.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes they had, and I like that. There's a classic space logo in the middle there. Is that what that little orange ball with the red?
Yeah, I love that detail. They had so many cute details inside the dome. They had this whole little world going on where clearly the minifigures had been living very happy lives until the tornado came.
And everyone starts screaming and running for the ship.
Yep.
You know, what's funny is when I heard the title was Marsnado, I couldn't help but think Sharknado. And I was like almost hoping for a shark to come into the bill. But I think, that would have really been distracting. But going back to what PT was mentioning, that all these minifigures kind of running for cover, that it just, you don't see that until you get really close. Because from afar, you just see the geodesic kind of domes. Yeah.
So just a behind the scenes question. How many minifigs did they have? And like what kinds did they have in there?
In the brick pit?
Yeah.
Charlie, would you know?
I don't know how many minifigures that there were like in total or on their builds. In the brick pit, you may be able to see in some shots that there's a big wall of minifigures, which would be like well over 1,000. I'm not sure because it was definitely like probably 50 by like 50 minifigures at the least. So that's however many maths. Actually, it'll be way more than that. It'll be just over 1,000 for sure.
But that was on the wall for decoration, or could you take those off?
You could take those off.
Oh.
If you weren't looking for a specific design for your minifigure, if you just like need fillers, it's easy to take those ones. Otherwise, you have to build your own if you want like a
You didn't have to keep the wall intact. You could just like pick and choose if you needed something with certain hair design. And we have a follower that's not here right now, but Diva was asking if Cornado is in the build because we do have a follower named Cornado. So sorry, Diva. No.
Maybe they are. Maybe they're in the spacesuit.
Yeah, they could be. They could be. I haven't seen Cornado in a while, but
Cornado. Come back.
But the whole Marsnado thing is. I mean, I'm trying to think. We haven't had a chance to talk to Andrew and Harry, but is there a New Zealand reference about a NATO, or just talking about, or they just tried to work it with tornado? I mean, I didn't even know if tornadoes are really common in New Zealand.
No, they're not. We have cyclones,
right?
But we don't. I don't think we have like that twister spiral kind of thing going on.
Right. Okay. I was wondering about that, where the inspiration of that came from. Okay.
But I think it was just like they were thinking, what kind of disaster could we have that gives the story what it needs and also looks really cool.
Cool.
And I think that was the sensible option, like without taking away from the beautiful shapes that they built.
Yeah.
Also, the triangular shape of the tornado contrasts quite nicely with the round.
Right.
That could have been a factor of it, but I'm not entirely sure either.
We're hoping to get a chance to chat with them sometime.
Yeah, I hope so too. They are lovely people.
I also hope to chat with them sometime.
Voting.
Well, you saw them, didn't you, at the church brick show?
Under a month ago. It was very nice to see everyone again.
Oh, that's cool. So as we mentioned, they had the audience come in and do voting. I thought this was, like I said, very interesting. And they literally had crowds coming in and walking around and looking at each of the builds. And again, they each had a brick. And it was cute because they also interviewed kids and said, "Oh, which one's your favorite? What do you like about it?" And that was kind of cool, hearing the response of the audience and what they thought. And
yeah, the U.S. had a similar, but it wasn't voting. It was actually kids that were giving the builders the
I saw that episode.
where
Yeah,
the
that
kids
was
came in and we want you to build this.
Yeah, that was
this is part of the story. So this was a nice little twist, having them be the judges, right?
yeah. Yep. And there they are, 3 teams. And again, to remind what they're vying for, $25,000 at the warehouse, the big trophy, the big Lego trophy, and of course, Fiat. Each
2 Fiats.
2 Fiat. Sorry. Yes. So you don't have to ride share. And then I thought it was interesting that they actually. I thought they were going to announce who like the winner was, and they said, "Oh, 3rd place is Carson and Angus," and like, "Yay, okay," and there's congratulations.
Hooray!
And then they're sitting there, and then they said, "And the winner for Lego Masters season 2 is Oli and Charlie." And sorry, this was the moment right when they announced it that they shot, and I don't know if that's the original shot or if you had to retake it 12 times.
That was the only thing the entire show that we did in one take.
Oh,
no,
I think cool. Because they didn't want to clean up all the confetti. But
oh my god,
that was so sweet.
We worked on set like after we finished our finale build, thinking that we were going to film 3 different reactions because that was what we were told when we applied. And it was only like after we'd done all our builds, when we were standing there, that they said, "Okay, we're going to tell you who wins now." And we were just quite surprised because we didn't know we'd find out. And then when they're doing, and the winner is, they pause and they'd redo that bit several times. Yeah. So we were standing there for quite a while, just waiting, so nervous, not knowing what was going to happen.
Wow. And of course, Debo wants to know, what color are your Fiats? What color did you go with?
I got an orange one, Debo.
Oh, nice.
And I got a red one.
Orange and red. Very cool. In fact, it was interesting when we were talking with Robin, because we just started this, 9 or 10 weeks ago, doing these reviews of your shows. Yeah. And Robin shared with us off screen. He goes, "Yeah, Oli and Charlie have already ordered their Fiats, and I think they're being delivered this week." So we've been really good about not giving people spoilers. And just, we referred to you as contestants. We didn't want to say the winners are here. But how has this changed you? And now that you've won, and people know that in New Zealand, I know not everybody in the world knows that, but how have you feel this has changed your perspective of Lego and the Lego world?
There's been, for me, quite a few people recognize me in public where they just say, "Hey, are you that guy from Lego Masters?" Sometimes, they've gone photos. Probably my favorite time is at a brick show. I was walking around and some dad came up to me with their 2 kids and said, "Hey, can I get a photo with you?" And so I posed up and he just took a photo with me and him, like not even including the kids. And so I think that
oh my gosh. Like, wow.
That's so funny. I wasn't there for that, but that is like vicariously my favorite interaction. Mm-hmm. My favorite, I think it's so, I don't have it as much as Charlie, I think, because I don't have that like enormous hair. But people, I have a few kids come up and they ask, "Are you the person who was on Lego Masters?" And I say yes, and then they don't really know where the conversation goes from there, and I don't either. So it's kind of like, okay, yep, you're correct.
One thing that we've seen in the U.S. is the U.S. contestants carry around die-cut stickers with them when they go to shows. And then, when people come up to them, they usually say, "Would you like a sticker?" And here's a sticker of, And is
That's
that something they
cute.
do in New Zealand, or is it just a US kind of thing?
It seems just like a US thing, but I think it's very new to us. Like, we don't really know. We're still figuring out what we're supposed to do with fans because it's we've never had that before. But I would love to like be able to give them something.
That seems to be the default over here.
Yeah,
You either have like little squarish business cards where they'll have like a QR code of, how to get to their website or their Instagram account, or they'll do little stickers. A lot of them have done stickers of themselves as Lego people, where they have an artist make them like a Lego person, and then it says their handle on the bottom. So I was just curious if you've done that too on your circuits.
I have not, but that would be really cute. I've always wanted to make stickers, so
now you have a reason. And people are saying, so cool that you won.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
and fantastic
you.
job. Now, have you been doing commissions or anything like that after the show? Have people approached you about, doing special projects for them?
We haven't had any special builds like that, unfortunately. That will be really cool. There's been a lot of things done just unpaid. Like, I've gotten around to most of the schools in the Manawatu just to visit and do a little speech on Lego and sometimes judge their Lego competitions. But hopefully there will be some future for both of us in terms of careers in Lego, either working for them in Denmark or being master builders like Robin and Ryan McNaught. But who knows where that will take us.
Yeah, I have had one person ask me to draw their family as Lego minifigures. But that's
fun.
The most commission work I've had. Oh, and someone wants me to build tentacles for them, like from our
from the reflection build.
Reflection build.
Yeah.
I think that was more of a passing request. I haven't figured out the logistics of that yet. But it would be very cool to work on that kind of stuff.
And Charlie, speaking of tentacles, your gift of saying dad jokes was also very much appreciated on the show.
Yes. 10 tickles. I remember that.
Is that something that you do at home? As far as, around family, you would like maybe have dinner and just start doing jokes like that, family jokes? Or
Yeah, I make a lot of bad jokes. And so one thing that's really good about being on reality TV is they can just put the good ones in, the best of the bad. So that worked out quite well.
Well, the camera loved you, and when I was talking about shenanigans, when you stole the buzzer, for example, in the previous episode, and they followed you around with that, and I just think it was just so nice that the two of you looked like you genuinely had a really good time, and that you just wanted to put the fun into this whole experience. And congratulations! I mean, what an amazing accomplishment. And when we talked to Jake Roos last week, he was talking about how now that he has won season 1 with Glenn, that he would love to see a Grandmasters in the future. And has that crossed your mind as well, the two of you, now that you've won season 2?
Yeah, would definitely love to get back into it, I think. I'd be scared to compete against Jake because he is just the most incredible Lego builder I've ever encountered. But anyone else, yeah. But yeah, our uncle worked on Grandmasters in Australia, so he was telling us all about it at Christmas before it aired. So we've been excited about that potential opportunity for a while.
Right. And there's always, too, a holiday special. We've done that in the U.S. where they call it the Holiday Bricktacular.
Yeah.
Oh, in Australia, it's the Bricksmas special.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Well, I like Bricktacular as well.
Yeah, the Holiday Bricktacular. And what they did in that particular case, they took Contestants, we had 3 seasons at that point. So they took Contestants, I think 1 from each, or they doubled up on 1 season. They had 4 total. And then they paired them up with a celebrity. So that person would train the celebrity on different techniques, and then they would, show up as a pair saying, okay, here's our story. This is what we're going to do. And so you never know. I have a feeling we're going to see the 2 of you again on TV.
That would be nice.
Any closing remarks, PT?
No, I think it was been a wonderful chat and chatting with you guys and everything. And like I said, I do love your brick built characters. They're always fun. That you had. I was gonna make the corn one. I'm gonna have to make a little corn.
Oh please! Seeing that you've recreated that has made my whole week.
I was going to say we might have to look at the sheep and the kiwi build. Those are 2 of my favorites. But I was like, oh my gosh, what's my sculpting like? How am I going to do that?
It's our favorite as well, right?
Might need a consult on that. Well, thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Please stick around after the broadcast so we can thank you again, because it's just really great having you here. And for people who are not following on Instagram, we have alligator.jpg or JPEG for Ollie. So follow Ollie there. We also have Mr. Brick 6000 on Instagram. For those of you I have to ask, where does the 6,000 come from? Did you?
Once again, it's another callback to Mr. Beast, who back when he started, he used to be Mr. Beast 6000.
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Distinct with that number.
Has Mr. Beast
was taken?
Has Mr. Beast reached out to you now that you?
Mr. Beast, if you're watching this, please hit me up to do some Lego for you.
I was going to say that looks like a good partnership there. I might send him a note. Yeah, there you go.
Everyone tag Mr. Beast in the comments.
There you go.
And then, of course, follow p.t.mcEwen on Instagram as well. And if you're trying to watch the shows, this is the official link, tvnz.co.nz/shows/Lego-masters-nz.
That's us.
They need to make a tiny URL like I did for you guys.
Yeah.
And you're listening to the Brickanista Broadcast Network, everybody. Please like and subscribe to the stream. If you enjoyed this, make a comment, because we really appreciate that. And also, if you want to send any kind of postal mail, you can send it to Brickanista Broadcast Network, P.O. Box 87232, Vancouver, Washington, 98687. So thank you again, both of you, for joining PT and I on this little journey here. Thank you to the chat as well. Thank you, Debo. Yep, Debo says he's followed, so you got a few followers now.
Thanks, Debo.
And thank you, Brick Jedi. Great job
Brick
on the
Jedi.
show. And thank you to Humble Bricks and Ivan Arroyo, everybody who's been listening to the stream, and anybody who might be watching the video recording later. It's really been a pleasure. And to end the finale with the 2 of you as our last broadcast for the reviews of Lego Masters Season 2. Anybody who wants to watch all of them can go to my YouTube page, and I have a couple of playlists there. But thank you, everybody. And again, really appreciate you all. And as they say on the Brickanista Broadcast Network, thank you, and may the clutch be with you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.